Why do you hate Brits so much? Like, why?
First of all, I love England. Some of my best friends are British, Black British. What I hate is, and you can chime in here, is that Black British people, I find, have a lot of commentary and opinions about Black Americans without actually knowing what they're talking about. And I think
expand.
So in England, you guys consume American media.
Correct.
A lot. Black British people consume Black American movies, TV,
Correct.
film, music.
And you guys don't consume ours.
We have zero exposure to Black Brits.
And that's a problem. We have to admit that's actually a problem.
Zero. So, but the thing is, the way you're able to admit that, a lot of Black British people I encounter online are like, well, no, we have so much in common. Da, da, da. I'm like, okay, fundamentally, we're all Black.
Yes. Okay.
I think let's get to a threshold.
Yeah.
We're all Black.
Yeah.
We live in 2 white countries.
Unfortunately.
Right? But unlike Black Brits, Black Americans are foundational Americans because they've been here since the 1500s. And what baffles me is that so much of Black Brits are Caribbean and they have
African,
the same exact origin as us.
Yeah.
And Africans, obviously, the second highest demographic of Black Brits. And it's just like, why do you guys think you know so much about us and you don't?
No, okay, so I think that's where I will challenge you. It's not that we think we know so much. We've consumed so much media. So remember that.
Yeah.
We've consumed a lot of media. So we think we have some grasp of culture, understanding, and knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the disparity comes, because it's like, well, we're the same in our eyes, versus you're like, no, we know nothing about you guys.
At all.
And we don't want to be likened, because there are actual differences. Some people can acknowledge that there's differences and some people can't.
That's the problem. The latter half, those people who don't understand that there are differences. And it's like, okay, if I tell you online, hey, we're not the same, why would you be like, yes, we are?
But this is the thing, like, language matters. And I think we're being pedantic. So when they say like, we're the same, I think they mean we're Black, right? Let's fundamentally agree that we're Black. The issue is that a lot of people in the UK are either Caribbean, they're African, they're whatever they are, versus a lot of Americans online. Again, we're speaking about the online population here, not the people that know each other.
Yeah.
Those online are like, no, I'm American. I'm from Texas. And grasping that
it's hard for a Black Brit. But that's why I say, for Black Brits too though, because that's why I say like, you don't really understand.
Yeah.
Because when you say we're alike, and it's like, the comparison or the comparative analysis is always Black Brits to Black Americans.
Which
and it's not one-to-one.
No, it's not apples to apples.
It's Black Americans to Jamaicans, or Black Americans to Dominicans or Haitians. And I think that's the biggest issue I have. And
you also hate Black British food.
First of all, excuse me, there is no such thing as Black British food.
And I
There is
agree.
Jamaican food, Ghanaian food, Nigerian food,
Indian food.
What? Give me one Black British dish. Just because you put jollof rice and jerk chicken on a plate together does not mean it's Black British. That's not what that means.
I'm not disagreeing. There is some Black British food.
Okay.
But I think, again, language matters here. There are food that Africans, Caribbeans, etc. eat in the UK. And I think we're just merging two things. That's honestly the truth. We're just merging two things.
My last request to the Black Brits would be unmerge. Unmerge the two, because the two are not the same. So when we say Black American food, once again, Black American food is equal to Jamaican food or Brazilian food, because Black American food was created here by formerly enslaved people starting in the 1500s.
I would encourage, I think the one thing I would encourage is I need Black Americans to learn a little bit more about Black British culture.
For sure.
And I think that is where the frustration comes.
What is Black British culture?
Great question. And I think Black British culture for us is the merging of Caribbean, like the Caribbean slave trade. Everyone knows about that. What happened with the African slave trade? There's so much history in the UK
for sure, 1000%.
that Americans are unaware of. And I think that is the frustration with Black Brits.
But Black Americans are aware of Caribbean history because it's the same as ours.
Some people are aware of it.
Some, right?
But I think Americans as a whole, not just even Black Americans, I think Americans, the country,
1000%.
America can do a better job of understanding the Black British experience, the African British experience, the Caribbean British experience, because it's all different things.
I would ask you this question. I'll propose you this.
Sure.
How would we learn more? Because we have no exposure. This is why I'm doing this conversation.
No, this is great.
And I think Black British people don't realize the rate of exposure you guys have
is 1,000% more. I watched MTV Cribs growing up.
You watch Family Matters. You watch Nickelodeon.
You guys have started watching Love Island.
Come on.
But
Come
like,
on.
that's a reality show. And I think that's the thing. You have to go out and seek the knowledge.
Yeah.
The same way I think we did a good job, like in our schools, we taught history. So like we were forced to learn American history. And I don't think like...
We're not forced to learn. So I think
we're not forced to learn
one
it.
of the points I do want to drive with this conversation to even spark it is like, Black Americans are really taught their own history. And you live here now, and you see like
10 years.
They're erasing critical race theory. They're erasing all the things that we learned. So there's zero exposure already to England. But TikTok, it's the only place that we've become hyper aware of each other.
And hypersensitive.
Because, and I will say this, it's not all Black Brits, but Black Brits on podcasts will go online and just talk about Black Americans.
Can we erase the podcast culture?
And here too, I need Black Americans on podcasts to go away.
I need everyone to just like, there should be a tax on podcast mics.
Yeah.
But no, I think Black Brits and African Brits, whatever you want to identify as, I think we can do a much better job of coming online and talking about our history and talking about our journey.
Yeah. I think
that
if you guys, I think for
enough.
me, you know, if Black British people went online and talked about the Black British experience
I agree.
through their lens, this conversation will be so different.
I feel like there are people who talk about it. You just have to find them.
Well,
and it's not your podcasters.
No.
It's not your podcasters.
But the point of view that we always get or seems to come across our FYP is Black British people comparing themselves to Americans and then talking about that experience, which is not the same.
It's not the same at all. And I think that's all polarizing. I think oftentimes...
Extremely.
I think oftentimes it's polarizing and it's unfair.
Yeah.
Because I know so many other people who have a more educated stance.
Like us.
On the Black
And
British
I receive
experience.
a lot of hate.
I be cussing you too.
I receive a lot of hate. But you know, like I said, people hear my accent, and this happens to me only in the UK. It's very xenophobic over there. They hear my accent and they're like, "Oh, you never even left America. You never left." I'm like, "Have y'all seen my passport?"
But remember, assumptions are coming from what we consume.
No,
right?
1%.
So this is the other thing.
1,000%.
So while
1,000%.
people are giving you hate, it's from things that they consume. It's the same way I come to the US and there's a whole like, do you eat bangers and mash? Like,
or tea and crumpets.
Whatever. And I'm just like, wait, you're creating stereotypes from what you've consumed.
Although she does fancy a full English.
Wow, yes, a full English is sensational.
She does fancy a full English.
A full English is sensational.
Are you guys kidding me?
I'm sorry. But with a sparkle of like jollof rice and, you know.
Here we go. And that's the last one I want to make. So I got all this crash out online because I talked about British food, right? And Black British people were like the only ones online making response videos. And I said, you would never find me, someone who's both Haitian and Black American, coming online and defending raisins and potato salad from the Midwest.
First and foremost, I don't identify with the raisins and mashed potato culture.
Well, you're not, because you're not American. That's what I'm saying. That's the equivalent for me. Black people in the UK crashing out because we don't like beans on toast or cheese, beans, and tuna.
Wait. Beans on toast is sensational.
Beans on toast is sensational.
Look, beans on toast, yeah?
Yeah.
Look, there's certain things we're not going to agree on because I don't like soul food. And some people are like,
listen. At a threshold, you grew up in the UK.
I did.
So there are things that you would love that I would never love. And I grew up here.
Do you not like an English breakfast?
Absolutely not. I would die before I ate an English breakfast. I'm actually going to the UK.
Do you like Nigerian breakfast?
I'm actually going to the UK in 2 weeks. I'm going to do a food series. I told you. Because I asked you for places.
Do you like Nigerian breakfast?
I don't know Nigerian breakfast.
It's like yam and eggs.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Oh, okay. It's a bit of plantain.
Yeah. That's what we eat in Haiti.
Oh, okay. So that's the thing. It's like cultures are so different. And I think the UK Black British experience merges a lot of cultures.
Yeah.
And I think that's the frustration that's coming across.
But I think the disconnect too is like in America, when you're Black, you're Black. And so we're not like, I don't identify with white Americans on most things culturally, but it seems like Black British people identify as being British.
I always have Nigerian though first.
But see, I said that based on my experience. People in the UK are...
my accent, people tell me I'm British.
But then I've always said, and people online are like, no, we're British. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, because in America, I'm Black before I'm anything, you know?
But this is the thing, when I come here, I'm Black before I'm anything. And then they hear me speak and they're like, oh no, she's
you're
British.
Yeah,
so no one is even identifying the fact that I'm complex, I'm multi-layered, and we're not a monolith. Like there's not just like this
nowhere in the
Black.
world. And I think the more we have these conversations and the more we can speak to each other is the better this will be.
Okay.
We'll be back.
At least we don't hate each other.
We'll be back to talk about more. You guys drop in the comments what you think about what we talked about.
All right, coffee time.
Ciao.